those people out there to take the pandemic and have the pandemic be the catalyst for them to restore integrity into their family, into their personal life. It was an opportunity, and a lot of people jumped on the bandwagon for it. And now I'm seeing people that are going back to their old ways, which tends to be a human condition. And my goal is, in working with my clients, is don't necessarily go back to the old way that was an overkill or too much or detrimental. Let's find balance. And that's why I labeled today's and yesterday's podcast balance. So thank you all for being here. Thanks for the little hiccup with the start. And Daryl, what are your thoughts on that piece of work-life balance that is existing out there that was crazy before the pandemic? There were tons of people were working what I call overworking, and they were underpaid, they were undercharging, and the pandemic seemed to, at least in some cases, balance that back with having to be at home and then see how to balance business and life. What are your thoughts on all of that?
No, I completely agree with you. Pre-pandemic, I'm guilty of it myself, working 80 hours a week. But during the pandemic, there was so many people that they could figure out that they had the opportunity and was able and still yet could be the same, have the same success as they was having, but still yet have more time with their family and have more success in that area. And, just after I think about it and just kind of uncover it under my thoughts as you were speaking there, in us working half of the time, during the pandemic, but still yet having the same success in our businesses, did that come from the roots? And maybe it was a reminder of the reason why we were doing it, and how much passion that we was able to put in that, and effort that was able to put in that because that we were surrounded with those that we truly loved. That's where I am, in my life and how I understood it, and broke it down in my life. So those are my thoughts. And I'm complete with that.
Awesome. Well, I thank you and appreciate you for that. This is one of those tough questions when people are looking at, well, Les, I'm not making money right now, so I need to dive into my work. I need to spend more time. I need to do this. I need to do that. And I look at that and I say, perhaps this is an opportunity for us to work smarter, not harder or longer. Perhaps there's an opportunity for us to reevaluate how we're working, the way that we're working, and is it possible for us to have a life change, continue that life change, and see. And one of the things that happened to me right pre-pandemic, in January of 2019, I turned my business. That I was very frustrated. I was frustrated always at the ebb and flow of business. And one moment I'd be doing great. I'd be doing the same marketing, the same networking. And then the next month I was, scrounging for clients. And I finally did something that was a big leap of faith for me. And people ask me, well, Les, how come you're so committed to your faith now versus when you first started your business, you weren't in that place? And I said, because I saw an opportunity in January of 2019 when I came to the end of my rope, and not figuratively or suicidally or any of that. And I said, okay, God, it's now been 3 years, and I've been since I was baptized. And one of the things that I haven't done is turn my business over to you. And when I had heard that before, what I saw in people around where they did that was they sat on the couch more. In fact, there was a movie that came out years ago called The Secret, and it had all of this woo-woo stuff in it, and power of positive thinking, and mindset and manifestation. And I saw this and I watched this movie and I said, there's something missing in this movie. Now, for me, I'm a man of faith. So for me, there was a faith aspect to it that yes, it was hidden. It was in the background. You could choose. They tried to make it, when I say asexual here, I'm saying faithful, as a representation of not plugging it into any specific. And yet what was missing was taking action and the balance of how to create business. And whether you owned a business or whether you were working in a business. And as I put all these pieces together, I said, there's a place where, for me, having faith and turning the faith of what I'm up to, I had found my home. And I knew in 2016 that coaching was my home. That to do any other job or do any other filler work was a waste of my God-given talents, was not listening to the coaching I was being given out of frustration. And I dove into it in 2016. In 2019, I wanted to level up, and I turned the reins of my company, being a CEO, over to God. And a shift happened. And that shift, whether it was real, whether it was made up, for some people say, oh, well, that's just your mindset. Well, yeah. I brought God into my boardroom, me, myself, and I, and God. And I listened to God, and I started reading the Bible from an aspect of leadership and training and development for me and my business, as opposed to just me, Les Hill, as a man, and finding myself in relationships, which I had in 2016. At the end of 2016, I had hired, hold on to your shorts, I had hired a dating coach. And that dating coach restored me to integrity. And I saw that integrity was missing in a lot of my life. And as I looked at honoring my word, I'd given my life to Christ, and yet I hadn't given my business to Christ. I'd given my relationship to Christ. That's why I hired a dating coach to hold me accountable. And I wasn't on, to give you for those, all of those of you that are listening in the replays or on stage or on social media, when I hired a dating coach, I gave a promise to not physically touch, kiss, or any of that with the people that I was dating until I was ready to make a commitment. And I had never done that in my life. And I brought Christ-like integrity into my relationship, my personal relationship, 2016. And in 2019, I saw that that was missing in my business. And that's why I brought Christ, God, and the Holy Spirit into my business in every aspect. And I started to plan with that. I started to look at devotions in the morning. I started a weekly Bible study. A couple of months later, I was looking at Bible verses every morning with somebody that Daryl, you and Joey both know, David Douglas. And we, started our morning with morning possibility. He and I, every morning, 6:30, accountability with a Bible verse, each of us. And then, fast forward, Clubhouse started. Got on Clubhouse, brought that into Clubhouse. And since then, do I still find frustration? Do I still have moments? I do. And then I realize who's got my back. And I turn the attention from sitting in that poop of, oh no, I just lost a client. Oh no, I made a mistake. Oh no, I got to clean this up. Oh no, to this is training development. God's sharpening me as a coach every day. And I don't have time to, I got to work on Saturdays. No, you can find balance. I got to work on Friday night. No, you can find balance. And as the integrity increased with my balance, with my family, and I met Kristen, and we went through a very rigorous dating process with my dating coach, going to 2 pastors through their premarital training, getting married by one, and then having my wife say, well, I was never going to get married, but now that I'm married, I would love to do a ceremony. And 6 months later, having another ceremony where her stepdad got to walk us down the aisle, and creating level of integrity after level of integrity after level of integrity after level of integrity. And for me, that's what continues to show up every time I look at balance. And when I'm off balance, the first place I go to, my integrity's out. I promised this balance and I broke my promise. Now, are there times, let me put a caveat in here. Are there times when I go with a request? I'd like to meet with a client on Saturday. I'd like to meet with a client during these family hours, Monday through Friday. Yes. And for the first time, there's this agreement possibility with faith, family, and business. And that's what has me be inspired by balance and has us be here today. So with that, I see Joey, you're up on stage. GH, Joey, would you like to share what is your thoughts about balance with work-life balance?
I did not know that was the topic, Coach. I came in here a little bit late, but what a great topic. Something that a lot of people don't get right away. And after years of working, and for me, when it was in the ministry, I heard a lot of pastors and a lot of youth ministers give advice to the younger generation and say, make sure you don't neglect your most important ministry, and that's the ministry and the of your family. So what do I think about work-life balance? I've mentioned before in the room, seems recently too, I said it, really good book, Coach, by Andy Stanley, Choosing Cheap. Just kind of give you a brief overview of that book. You know, when it comes to work and it comes to your life, you know, one of them's going to feel slighted, whether you make it this, whether your boss has asked you to work late on that Friday night and you tell him, I can't, I already have plans, I'm going to my son's baseball game. You know, there's that possibility that the work and boss might feel like, well, I hired you to be this team player and we've got this big project and you're letting the team down, versus that Saturday morning when you have to attend something for work and you have to let your family down. So there are those times where you're stuck, and how do you work through that? So I think it's a great topic to be discussing. To one, make sure that we're aware that as you make decisions, you've got to be real. In my opinion, you've got to be real considerate and make sure the balance. When it comes to work-life balance, and I'll try to put a real solid explanation point on this, and then yield the mic. I guess I'm speaking to the room when it comes to all work, no play, right? You can't. You just can't. Being 48 years old and being experienced, having past experiences where work was everything to me, and sacrificing that family time, it seems to go over on that lopsided where it's always work that we talk about. When we talk about work-life balance, it's usually a result of it being unbalanced in favor of work and slighting the family time. You know, but I'll say this as well too. You know, you've got to make sure you're also working. I tell my family all the time, especially with this current job, although they don't mind my hours now, they don't mind the time, but I do remind them, hey, this is a small price to pay. This gives us the opportunity and affords us the ability to do all those things that we've really enjoyed doing together. I know I'm going to have to drive to I did it a couple weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I drove in total of about 6 hours to a customer who was out of cheese on a Saturday. Haven't done that in a long time, but it was just something I had to do, and my family, you know, understood and they heard me. But I'll yield there. If you want to stay sane and you want to avoid getting an ulcer, and you want to avoid a lot of the struggles that come with having an unbalanced life, specifically around family and your work, you've got to draw the line in the sand and set boundaries up for your family. And I will share this. That shows your family that you love them, in my opinion, and vice versa. Sometimes you have to do it for your boss. Sometimes you have to do it for your work, but make sure that it's balanced. I'll yield it right there, Coach.
Thank you, Joey. And I'd like to welcome GHGGV. Welcome
Hello.
to the stage. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm trying to figure out what GHGGV stands for.
It doesn't stand for nothing. I had a profile on Clubhouse and got rid of it and didn't realize that I wouldn't be able to get it back once I logged out, since I don't have an iPhone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I just typed in whatever, but and that's what came up.
Well,
I ran my finger across the keyboard and that came up. So.
Well, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I could definitely say, Gigi, I'm at a loss for words.
I leave a lot of people at a loss for words sometimes. So yeah.
Because I'm sitting here looking at my keyboard going, what kind of keyboard does she have that GV and GGV?
Yeah, blame it on my thumb. I just rubbed it across it. I was like, that looks good.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, welcome to the stage. Thank you so much for trusting in coming up on stage. I'm super excited to get to know you, and I would love to hear your thoughts on balance. And by the way, just for this is always I love to share this with everybody. I am never afraid of people having a completely opposite viewpoint than me on my stages. And I will always treat you with the utmost respect and dignity while you're here, whether you agree with me or disagree with me. So, welcome to the stage, Gigi.
Thank you. I'm Paris Day. I came back on Clubhouse today, basically, and this is the first room where I've been in that has been sensible, and the first time I've been back on stage since I left about a month ago. But my take on balance, I'm single with no children. I'm 49, just turned 49 May 24th, and I'm Black. I'm sure you can tell by my voice, even though they say, oh, you're not supposed to say that. Yeah, I'm a Black female single with no children. So work-life balance for me, I didn't realize that I didn't have work-life balance until after being quarantined for a couple years and realizing, hey, you don't have no life outside of work. So a lot of times I think when people talk about work-life balance, they think about the time that they give at home or to their self or family versus to work. And as a single person, I never thought that really mattered until now that I'm switching over from being like a W4 minded person to being a W9 minded person. I have a lot. Oh, you gave me a green bean. Thank you, Coach. I have a lot of personal development to do. Like, I succeeded at my job, but coincidentally, I think it's a irony that I did very well at my job, but this morning I was listening to 48 Laws of Power while I was still half asleep. And it was saying, don't outshine the master, because I did my job flawlessly. I switched over from being an insurance agent at a company to working at the help desk as an IT admin. And I did my job without errors and with very minimal help. At first they were like, oh, we're going to train you for 2 months because this is your first time working in IT. And then the guy saw that I was picking up real quick, and I only got trained like 7 days. But I still did my job without errors, but then I started to be hazed on the job. And so when the quarantine first started, I was like, well, what are these nutcases going to do that's at home that normally take their demons out on their coworkers, and now they got to be at home by themselves or with their family? What I didn't realize is that it wasn't a thing of karma where they had to sit by themselves and not have anybody to take their egos out on, or whatever missing personality traits they had. They didn't have anybody around to take it out on like they were doing me. I also had put too much of my esteem and ego into being perfect, doing a good job, not having to form cliques or be friends with anybody because I'm so self-reliant and self-sufficient. And that is now hurting me because the couple years that I've been like quarantined at home, now that I'm starting my own business, it's hard for me to deal with people. And I clicked on your room because it says coaching. And so one of the people that I was talking with in Clubhouse lost her job as a counselor. And I told her, I said, I help people set up businesses and get funding. So she remembered that I had told her that a week earlier, and she came to me. I helped her set up her business. She never missed a beat. She took her clients home personally, got her website and stuff, everything set up. But the thing with me trying to coach her is that I was very agitated because she's like 17 years younger than me, but she didn't know anything about like business acumen or being dedicated to that and stop. She didn't know how to draw the boundary of I'm helping you business wise versus us being on Clubhouse joking and laughing around. And I was like, this is crazy because you're a coach. Like, I'm thinking you'll be able to coach me, but I'm coaching you and helping you set up your business. And so one of my shortcomings is I'm used to work where everybody that comes to me needs me and they come correct and ready to do the job. As a coach, I wasn't ready for the part where I got to whip them into being ready and then helping them. So I'm out of balance. And I clicked just because I felt like you would be supportive, and I never knew that I was out of balance. I was just thinking all those people that had hazed me would have to deal with their karma. Well, I'm dealing with mine for being intolerant about people and human ways. And I know that's why I'm single with no kids, because I'm fine and I make good money, but I'm single with no kids. How you, Mike?
So did you say it's Paris Day?
Yes.
Okay. So may I call you Paris?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. And unless you want me to call you ma'am, don't call me sir, Paris. You can call.
Okay, I'm sorry.
There you go. You can call me coach. That's fine. That way I'm always thinking about the work, work piece. That's why I have people call me coach, because it keeps my head straight.
Yeah, it keeps the right head on.
Exactly. And so first of all, may I offer you a little coaching? And an FYI, I did send you a back channel with a complimentary offer. And just because that's part of what I do here on Clubhouse. And it's part of what my mission is. And I'm being very careful what I'm saying, Paris, because my wife is down there in the speaker lounge and she doesn't like me giving away the farm. So I'm just giving away a little nugget. I love you, Kristen. And hello to Carolyn and Amina, by the way. Welcome to the room. Here's the interesting thing first of all, about coaching. If you notice, one of the things I did is I asked you if I could give you some coaching. And when you say yes, one of the things that happens is there's a paradigm shift in your mind that allows me to contribute to you, and you're listening for that contribution. Does that make sense?
Yes.
If we offer coaching to people, a lot of times what happens if we just give it to them and we haven't asked for permission or set the stage up, what happens is we get that defensiveness back of why they're not where they quote unquote should be. And then we get into shoulda, coulda, wouldas, but, sure, yep, and a whole lot of inauthenticity. Once we get permission for coaching, we start to be dealing on an authentic level. And as you can see, when people are carrying around a title called coach, the thing that people expect is they expect you to have had training. They expect you to have the answers. They expect you to, literally have the winning ticket to the Powerball. And one of the things in my coaching that I do is I let people know, first and foremost, I'm a human being. I make mistakes. I make a lot of them. And what you can expect from me as a coach is to be responsible for my mistakes, for learning how to clean up your mistakes. And why I share this and what I'm about to share is one of those moments that I call where I had no balance. I came onto Clubhouse on the night of February 12th, which was a Friday night. I stayed up until, I think, close to 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I got addicted to Clubhouse. I found a place where I wasn't able to go on my mission to Haiti. This had been the second year in a row. And I turned Clubhouse into my mission field. And I started doing rooms and offering coaching and being responsible for the listening and not responsible for my time. And it got to the point where even if I was walking with my wife, I would have my AirPod in my ear on the opposite side of the way we were walking, listening to a room so that I could be involved in the room and still walk with my wife. And lo and behold, it didn't work. Imagine that. And there was a reckoning that happened, and I had to clean up my integrity with my wife. And the breakthrough that happened out of that, because with every breakdown, there's a breakthrough around the corner. The breakthrough that happened was we started playing disc golf. And I created family time on my computer, on my schedule. And the balance shifted. And I started being responsible for my time on Clubhouse. Now, am I perfect at it, Paris? I'm a long way from that. I still make a step in a poop pile. I still have to clean stuff up with my wife. And I'm at work on creating a powerful place of balance. And that requires being in full communication with my coach, in full communication with my board of directors, full communication with my wife, and on top of all of that, full communication for me in my faith, in my prayers. And what has started to happen is a clear pathway for me to build on and build with integrity. So as you start to look for balance, one of the things that I highly recommend doing, and this goes for anybody that's listening, is to set down the priorities on a piece of paper. Here are my priorities. Set down a schedule, a work week. Look at the hours we need to sleep. Look at the hours that we need to network. Look at the hours that we need to be responsible for the various agreements that we have in life with the people in our life. And map it out. And for me, it's one of those things, a lot of people, it's got lots of fancy terms these days: time mapping, time blocking, time stamping, and being responsible for creating that balance and looking and making sure that in that schedule, Paris, you have time set aside for health and well-being, time set aside for faith, for your practice, for your instruction, making sure that there's a balance with incoming information and outgoing communication. And once you've got it set up and you have a rough outline, show it to somebody that you know and trust and love. Or if you have a coach, or if you have somebody that is working with you, a mentor or a friend that you trust, and show them your calendar and ask them for their opinion of your calendar. I can promise you, if you do this and spend the time authentically to do this, you will win the game of balance in your calendar. So I'd love to hear your comments on my little diatribe.
Yeah, I appreciate it. The insights and you picking up the nuances of what I was saying. Now, as far as asking for permission, I did, as far as I'm concerned, skip that part, but it was because she came and asked me, and I told her that I'm not a teacher, I'm not a coach, because I'm not that tactful. When I think something, you're going to see it in my face, hear it in my voice, and hear it in my words. She's like, "Oh, you can do it. I'll coach you through that part." And I was like, "This is weird." Okay. So I'm happy with the outcome of her getting her business set up in 3 days and actually having clients within 7.
Nice.
I was not happy with how I was so frustrated with her. What I was more frustrated with was her having to ask me the same things like 3 times. And I told her, I said, write it down. I said, you're used to working for somebody. You need to develop a business acumen. Everything you're doing, keep a log, open up an Excel document on your computer. Also keep it in a notebook. And I gave her the example. I self-taught myself how to use Pro Tools to record and produce music because I love music. But I had to keep a notebook because I don't do it that often. It's a hobby, so I don't want to have to go back and relearn it or ask the same questions over and over again. I can go back and look at my file. And she never did that. So what I did, I stopped her from calling me and said, if you have a question, give me an itinerary and send it to me by text. I will answer you verbally on the text. Or if it's something I need to demonstrate for you, I'll send you a loom, like a video recording, but you can't talk to me anymore. And she was like, "Oh, why you gonna do me like that?" Da, da, da. And I'm like, yes, you need to learn some boundaries because your business will take you into rooms with people that are way more disciplined than you because they've been CEOs their whole life. You're used to working for somebody where on days where you goof off, you can goof off, but you still keep your job as long as you do a good enough job. It's not like that when you're running your own business. So that's why I was frustrated with that. And I'm like, probably not the best coach unless you want a drill sergeant type person. But another thing I like that you picked up on is like the balance for myself. And so I got close to what you recommended, and that was for me to map out a calendar. I did map out like a marketing plan because I've built my whole business. I've been always entrepreneur, but I never put it first. But I've built my whole business, like platform, everything to a certain degree. And then I made a map of what I need to do because I was like, maybe if I put it on paper, I'll do it. But I'm hitting like mental blocks or mental walls where I won't market or push myself. Like I'm comfortable on this app because it's just a voice. I don't even like having up my picture. I took down the old app because like you hit on so well is that it was becoming different than what I wanted it to be. I tried Clubhouse to have a place for people that were drawn to me that wanted to be in a support group for like business, credit repair, whatever. So then I started going into stuff that I like as a hobby, and that's singing and poetry. And so it caused me to have like 400 followers or more. And then my algorithm changed to where that's always what was coming up. And you hit on, going to bed. I was staying up late singing, and people would like leave me in their room to host it, and I would host it all night and was meeting people from around the world because of the time zone. And then I'd see the sun come up. And now I'm going to try what you said and actually put what I put down on the calendar. But part of it is not the time management or blocking it out because I did that very well in my job. Part of it is me not wanting to be out front, like, look at me on Instagram telling you what I do for people to come sign up. Like, that part pains me so bad that if I don't overcome it, I'm going to have to give up being a CEO and a coach and just go back to work. And
so one of the things with that, though, is I believe when I learned that I could sit and people would come to me and that I could do the work that I do and love doing it, and people would approach me. And as I built the testimonies, as I built the openings for people, for other people, business started to flow naturally towards me. And it's one of those things that seems almost antithetical. Like, how is that possible? If I'm doing this work and not chasing the business, how's it going to come to me? And here on Clubhouse, one of the things that I found out is as I support people on Clubhouse, people listen, people go through and do replays, and then people reach out and they come to me because of my uniqueness and my willingness to not try and sell them $10,000 coaching program for 3 months. That I have what I call affordable coaching plans. And that I've chosen to be that way in this arena and in this platform for the difference that I can make by having people overhear, having people listen through replays at all of the coaching that has been given to me over the past 20 years. Since December of 2002, I've had incredible amounts of coaching and training. And you have in life as well. Everybody has in life. The question is, are you able to capture that and support other people in seeing themselves in your shares and in your training opportunities? And that's where the trick comes. And I can hear it in your voice already that you have that skill. My question is, do you have the patience and the willingness to continue to plant seeds?
Right now, the answer is no, but I started back taking CBD oil. I had taken it for a couple of years and then stopped. And then I realized once I started back dealing with people, like I didn't start back dealing with people since the quarantine until like December. And I realized I'm short patience. And before I realized I never knew it, I could afford to be. And I remember people telling me, oh, you're a insensitive girl. And I was like, oh, this girl is just jealous. And now I realize why they say that, because a lot of people stick with relationships, and I wonder why. Like, if you know you don't like somebody because they're, say, jealous-hearted, why do you keep talking to them? And I would just, like, throw out the baby with the bathwater. And so that hasn't taught me the patience that I need to deal with people that are coming to me. And I love what you said, how people come to you. People have come to me for me to help them naturally. But then I'm just, like, not enjoying it as much because they ask the same questions over and over. And I'm not used to, like, I never made myself have to deal with people's shortcomings. Even though I'm human, I have the same shortcomings. I'm kind of like the type of person that I will perfect myself more than what I naturally am before I come to you, just so you don't have to do so much work. And so I was seeing it as disrespectful that other people don't, until it just kept happening and happening. And I was like, hey, it's you. You know, it's me is what I mean. So
right.
At this moment, I'm not patient. No.
So one of the things, and this, I think this will be a great point to close down on, because we close at the top of the hour. I only do this podcast for an hour. Here's one of the things that I tell people when people repeat questions or repeat things. There's two things. One, they don't feel that, now this is, by the way, this is all based on feelings. They don't feel that they were heard. And no matter what answer that you give them, their feeling is that you didn't hear them accurately. How do we solve this? It's very simple. When somebody is, and you can tell this because it happens once and you see that they're repeating questions, is that I repeat the question back to them and I ask them, is there any specific nuances around this question that you wish for me to focus on? And that's when I hear the real question. Does that make sense, Paris?
It makes sense, and I have to allow for that. I just don't like it because I don't do it. Like, if you tell me something once, I'm going to take it because I asked you for it.
Yep.
I'm going to make you have to coddle me to give it to me.
Right. And consider that you're somebody who's very coachable and that is willing to get unstuck. Some of these people come to you, they're gun shy about coaching, and they are really stuck. And so for me, I have compassion with them, which then has me do that process. Does that communicate?
Yeah, the word you said, compassion, just sent chills through my body. I need to be more compassionate.
And that's, and it's, and it takes, and remember, all of this, Paris, takes practice. Practice, 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 practice. It all takes practice. And a lot of people think coaching is easy. I mean, I think it's hilarious here on, and this will be my final thought before I close down the podcast. A lot of people on Clubhouse and a lot of people that go through quick coaching programs think they know how to coach. They think that they have all of the tools. They think because they've spent $15,000 for a week-long course that at the end of it, they know how to coach. And I'm here to tell you, it's the tip of the iceberg. I don't care if you've owned a business where you made $1 million. That doesn't make you an expert. That doesn't make you a coach. So with that, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to Norma and Minna for coming into the room and spending time with us. I want to say thank you to Dr. Cynthia. So great to see you. I appreciate you listening in. To my beautiful wife, can't wait to see you in a little bit. And Paris, I'm looking forward to connecting with you on the back channel.
Yes, Coach, thank you.
You're welcome. And Brother Joey, I know he's on the phone, but Brother Joey, and he's one of my musketeers, and I think there, poof, he's gone. And I look forward to seeing each of you. I'll be back here on Monday next week, same time, 3 p.m. Central. I will be here tomorrow at 4 p.m. with a friend, Sujata Tiwari, and she and I will be doing a podcast around some of the things from her book, Against All Odds. We do that Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday evening we do another podcast where it's Coach Les and Sujata Against All the Odds, and that's at 9 p.m. on Sunday evening. So for those of you that love podcasts, come and join us. There are rooms here on Clubhouse that will give you direct access, and you can either join us live or Memorex. So with that, It was great meeting you, Paris. Thank you so much for coming up.
Coach, thanks for bringing me up.
And I look forward to seeing you again. And this room will self-destruct in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And for those of you listening online, I want to say thank you for listening online. I appreciate you. Please take a moment to
Coaching with Les has doubled my practice.
We've increased our sales by about 33%, blowing all of our goals out of the water.
In my first 6 months, I actually grew my business with his help over 500%. Literally 500%.
Les Hill is the type of person that invests back in you and back into your company. So if you're looking for a business coach with integrity, choose Les Hill.